it going, guys? I thought I would try to get this tag response video up as quickly as I could. I was hoping that I would be settled, but I'm not yet. But I really did want to get this tag video up because my friend at Coyote Moon created this really great tag. This is something I feel like that is super needed. I think as like crystal skull caretakers, guardians, and such, there isn't as large of a community at least that people talk about a whole lot. And it's so fun to always see everybody's different like tribes and like little crews and stuff, because everybody's is so different. You know, each school comes to a person for different reasons, and they do different things, and they just interact so cool together. I love everything about it. So I wanted to do her tag because I've been loving seeing the responses, and I didn't want to wait, and I did bring my whole crew with me. I packed them up in like a kind of like a vertical squishy cooler so that they could travel with me. And I've got Paquet back here, and that is one of my newest kind of large guys that is super awesome. And I thought I would go ahead and jump into this tag. Yeah, so I guess we'll just jump into it. I've got all the questions right here. So the first question is, how did you first learn about crystal skulls? And I first kind of like, I was seeing a lot of things about them at the time that Jen from Willow Wind here on YouTube was talking about them. So it was kind of like a whole thing that just kind of collided together literally at the most perfect synchronistic time. And she talked about one of the ancient crystal skulls, one of the guardians that she sells a lot of skulls that she kind of is drawn to and acquires, and then charges them, and they stay with Synergy, and then she sells those with that ancient crystal skull energy. And I was kind of like, okay, like, so I kind of, you know, pilled around a little bit on the site that she has, and finally a few spoke to me, and I was just like, okay, you know, I don't really know what this thing's about, and never used eBay before or any of that stuff, and I just kind of, I was drawn to them, and I just said okay. It was a few weeks after her video, and I kind of didn't think that it was going to be my thing, but it turned into being a really big thing. If you've seen any of my other crystal skull videos, I've tried to do regular updates on when I get new skulls, and I know I have another update I probably have to do soon. I have 2 on the way, so probably after I get settled and those come to me, I'll be doing probably my final update for a little while, but I wanted to, or well, when I get to a later question, I'll show you what I was just gonna show you. But we'll move on to question 2 because I don't want to make this like forever long video. But what is your favorite book or resource on the topic? Now, I do have the book that I think so far almost everybody's talked about, this book from Judy Hall. She's an incredible crystal worker. She knows so much information. She's published so many books on crystals, so I only felt like that was obvious to get that crystal book because she's amazing, and because it has a section on Akashic Records, and I like working with the Akashic Records a lot, so I wanted to see kind of her spin on maybe what she had been guided to write about that. I don't have the book with me right now since I'm traveling, so I don't have that to show you, but it's the one from Judy Hall, Crystal Skulls. And then the other resource that I've used heavily, that I've written in my own, I've journaled my own crystal skull book, where I've put in all the information that I feel like is pertinent and that I've loved, or, you know, I've gone through and I've documented, kind of rostered all of my guys and when they've come to me and kind of their purposes and if they've been activated or not. And in a section there I have from I believe it's crystalskulls.com, if I'm correct on that. It's another, the website's also another partner with Synergy and Sherry, and I think they kind of work hand in hand somewhat. I'm not really entirely sure on that, but that's, at least I think they do link out to her website. And I've gotten a lot of information from like the different types of crystals and how they're utilized for some of their different purposes. Sometimes that's how I kind of gravitate towards them, but usually I'm already pulled towards the crystal before I even know, like, oh yeah, I read the description, I'm like, yeah, that's totally what I'm going through right now. No wonder I want this little skully guy in my crew. So number 3 is how many crystal skulls are in your tribe. So me and my husband were just working this out today on like how many I had and how much I've spent so far and things like that, and to accumulate them. And so I do have a tiny little crystal skull that I attached to a pendulum, which he also has a guardian with him, so I do count him because any pendants or jewelry pieces also that have the crystal skull energy, they count. And then I have 2 on the way, so total I have 72, I think is the number, with the 2 on the way that have not come to my tribe. So that would make it 70 currently in my position, but I have 2 that are kind of hanging out, waiting to come to the tribola. Let's see, number 4, do your skulls have names? If so, how do your skulls most often receive or share their names? The majority of my skulls do have names at this point. I think there's still a few from the early crew that has kind of held out. And honestly, they just kind of speak to me randomly. Sometimes in the beginning I really didn't get names right away. It kind of took a while, and then they started opening up. It does really help, I feel like, to have kind of a tribe leader or a crew leader, whatever you want to call it, because sometimes they can help facilitate the opening of those channels if you have a hard time with it. I already am super sensitive to crystal energy, and I feel like the crystal skulls are kind of more of just like a heightened connection to that energy and that guardianship that kind of comes with them. So I've loved it so much, and that's why I think I've been so just like magnetized to them, because I've really only known about crystal skulls or have been into that kind of energy since December. So we're looking at like 9-ish months, I suppose, or about November, I think, is when I learned about them. The first ones I got was in December. So they've kind of rapidly magnetized to me through Malachi here, who is the main tribe crystal skully guy that I started with, and he is kind of more of like a main elder leader now, who more works personally with me, which I think that's kind of like a question later on, but we'll just reference to that. And this is the current tribe skull leader, Filma. So, what is your favorite way, number 5, what is your favorite way to connect with your skulls? Well, mostly they love gridding, especially right now, so that's kind of how they do a lot of their work. Let's see, yeah, I think that, okay, how do your skulls most communicate with you? Okay, so that's number 8. And I think that's going to kind of tie in together is, through a lot of kind of like the clear channels of just like knowing and feeling. I know like one is clairsentience, and then the clear knowing, I can't remember what the specific term is for that, but it's kind of just, it's one of those things that just like pops in my head. Sometimes I'll be downstairs and usually they're hanging out upstairs, and it's like, okay, name, piquet, it just like kind of comes in whenever they're ready or willing or wanting to share. I've had crystal skulls rename themselves. Different energies have come and gone. They've gone from male to female. There's it's very fluid energy. All matter is energy, and energy doesn't disappear. It really just kind of moves and flows. So that's what I feel like is probably happening here. I don't think that there's any one right or wrong way per se to go about that. So let's see. I know I'm kind of getting off on a tangent. What is the next one? Where was I at? Okay, their names. What's your favorite way to connect with them? Mostly just through meditation, grid work, and just kind of hanging out one-on-one. Sometimes they'll want to go out with me, and so I'll take them. It's all kind of based off of their, I guess, like, wanting or needing to do certain things. And that's how their names have come too. I haven't named any of them specifically myself, more of just like what they prefer to be called. Let's see, we did, which crystal skulls do you feel most connected with? Number 6. So I kind of grabbed a few of them. Piquet has been one that I've been working with a ton, and of course my leader Malachi and Felma. And this one right here has liked going with me a lot. This is a shungite one, and he has been amazing. I can get kind of anxious sometimes going out and doing things and being around other people and whatnot, and this one really has been a hold strong kind of one for me, and been really amazing. Okay, I think I kind of got a little off track and mixed up a little bit, but I think we are on number 7 now. Do some of your skulls have a stronger bond with each other than others? And I'd say there's a few, yes. I kind of have a big crew, so they really do enjoy all hanging out together. They do that most of the time. Sometimes they do kind of break off into little sections. I kind of have some of the titanium aura. I have a few. They all love to hang out together. And the fluorite skulls, they love to hang out with that crew. So they're kind of like, they've kind of dubbed themselves like the elder leaders of the group, and they meet regularly, and they kind of tend to like decide on or talk about different things amongst themselves for the group, or sometimes they even kind of decide about like the different grid work that they would like to do. There was a grid that I did a while back that I posted pictures on my Instagram, where they did this, I got this large flower of life tapestry that I placed on the floor with all of them, and that was kind of like an earth healing grid that they felt that they needed to contribute to the planet and the crystalline grid and everything. As for like specific ones that love to hang out together, these two I think might actually be twin flames. Which isn't insanely surprising considering, citrine is also amethyst. So this one I was really drawn to get after I had Julius, and they love being together. They hang out all of the time. And they're like, basically 2 peas in a pod, so they love really to hang out together. And even though it's been kind of a while since I first got my my very first kind of crew guys, these are the original 3 that I got from Synergy, and these 3 love to hang out all of the time. Malachi, Oron, and Winnipeg. He's a little bit stubborn, but they have their little idiosyncrasies. If you have crystal skulls, you kind of get it. And so they kind of like to hang out together, but in the majority, most of them love to just chill with the whole crew. So I kind of already touched on number 8. I kind of rolled that into one of the other ones, which was how do your skulls most often communicate with you? And so number 9, name one other crystal skull guardian and YouTube creator you enjoy. Of course, Coyote Moon. She does tons of amazing meditations where she's like out in the forest, and they have such beautiful energy coming off of them. I know that there's a few on Instagram that I follow, and I feel bad that I can't think of the names right now. But I know like all of them can be found when you type in crystal skulls into Instagram. I think that's the majority of where I've found a lot of other people who really enjoy sharing their crystal skulls is through Instagram. I am a picture person, so I love to see pictures. I am obsessed with other people's like collection, tribe, crew, and it's so fun to see the different work that they all feel called to do to help contribute to the beautiful energy on the planet. It's amazing. And number 10, the last one, is what advice would you give to somebody now new or interested in crystal skulls? And I'd say just do like what feels guided, because I don't think that this has to look like any one way for anyone. I think a lot of times people, when they get started in energy, anything, energy healing, metaphysics, and all of that stuff, there's very much, I think I don't know if this is the correct word, but dogma, I think, is, there's a lot of dogma surrounding the way things have to be. And I think the most important thing to remember is just like energy is fluid, and everybody gets called and pushed certain different ways. And so, what it looks like for somebody else to do, the witchy path, or pagan path, or crystal skull guardians, none of it looks the same, because it's so different for everyone. Everyone has different energetic connections. We all have different callings. We all have our own unique gifts that we're meant to provide the world, other people, just different things that we're all connected and tapped into. So I'd say let go of your preconceived notions of what kind of crystal skull you need to have, or how many you need to have, or how you need to connect with them, because it's all going to be very specific to you, your crystal skull, your tribe, whatever it is. I know plenty of people who they only have one crystal skull, and that's a really meaningful experience, because you're just connected to that one entity, spirit, whatever you want to identify that is, that consciousness is. And I think it doesn't matter how many you have or how little you have, it is just as an important bond. It's just as meaningful, and it's just as amazing as any other experience that anybody else has. I think it's fun sometimes to compare ourselves to other people, but sometimes I think we can all get a little too judgy sometimes, and we get focused on how we think something needs to be or how something needs to look. I know when I first got Malachi and my first little 3, like when I got them, I thought, that's it. Like, I'm just gonna have these 3 little guys, and we're gonna hang out and have fun, and they're going to just enjoy being together. And Malachi had other plans. He wanted to have a Skull Tribe army, which is basically now a reality that he doesn't want to deal with anymore, which is why Thelma is now the leader of the crew, because he realized that that was not something that he actually wanted. He's more of a personal connection and healer with me now, and not as involved. He's kind of come back into taking over some responsibilities as an elder, along with some of the other skulls. But it changes, it flows, and I think that's the thing that's the most special about it, is it's so unique and so different for every single person. So don't let it scare you. And if you haven't connected to one yet, don't just get one to get one. Get one that you feel a deep connection to, that you feel like is going to bring meaning into your life. I definitely feel like when you, even when you're visually attracted to, oh, this crystal is beautiful, or the shape of this crystal is so beautiful, it's stunning, whatever it is that draws you to that crystal, I feel like is what is, it's just that energy's way of trying to say, hey, you're supposed to pick me, kind of a way of going about, crystal picking, and, finding which ones, because I see those questions all the time of, well, how do I know which crystal is for me? How do I know which one I'm supposed to work with? And it's absolutely that connection of, wow, that's amazing. And, all of everything working out, the timing, the price, being able to retrieve it, or, if I do a lot of online buying, some people are not into that at all, and they don't connect to the energy that way. I'm like really great, I guess, at connecting distance wise with that energy, so I have zero issues. I think there has only ever been one crystal that I had a huge issue with when I received it, and then I cleared and cleansed the heck out of it. And I don't use it a ton, but I did feel like it was one that still belonged with me after that even. So I've really only had one experience where I haven't just instantly connected with a crystal out of all the crystals that I've gotten online, which is a lot. I do, of course, love, connecting in person. That's my ideal, but the majority of the ones that I love, I find online, and they want to come home with me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tag, and if you are also a Crystal Skull Guardian, please make sure to join in this tag with Coyote Moon that she created. I think this is like the perfect thing. We're such a small community, and I think it's great to share more about, but like, so openly about Crystal Skull guardianship and crystal skulls and all of the great things that they can bring, because I feel like too long there have been people in the community that have kind of held some of that knowledge hostage, and I love the internet in the way that it has helped bring everyone together and it's helped share information. That is literally one of my most favorite things about like the spiritual metaphysical community, is just the opening of those doors, because everybody is their own healer. Everybody can do energy work and all of these great things and work with crystal skull consciousness, whatever it is. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do that for yourself, that you can't do that for others, that you can't learn it, that you can't connect into it on your own, because there is no gatekeeper. You are the only one who puts limits on what you feel like you can and can't achieve, what you can heal, what you can't heal. And I think that's the most important thing to remember. It's the hardest thing to remember because you constantly have to remind yourself about it. I feel like all the time, me included, but I hope that is really helpful for whoever is watching out there, and I hope you kind of enjoyed. I will be doing a full Crystal Skull update the next time I think I introduce the last part of the crew, since they're awesome, and I want to kind of talk through maybe more of them individually instead of just kind of like popping them here and there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a like, subscribe, all those things, and I will see you guys again soon, and hopefully next time I will be settled in the great outdoors, because I would love to start doing some more videos outdoors. So I hope everyone has a great day. See you guys.